Hello and welcome to another episode of 33 Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Michael Abney. Thank you guys so much for being here. As you know, and you've been listening for a while, we talk to founders about what they're building in life, where it came from, what they're in the middle of, just to provide hope. If you're in the middle of something that you know you're not alone, it's so easy to get trapped up into that loneliness vibe that's going on. But this is here to share with you there are the people in the middle of all of it are still building things that they love. And today, really am blessed to have somebody that I met a couple of weeks ago on a pre-call and just had a great connection with. He's got a beautiful spirit. Can't wait for you guys to meet him. His name's Ade. Ade, thank you for being on the pod.
Thank you so much, Michael.
You're
Very
so welcome.
excited.
Yeah, me too. Because it's like when we were talking before I asked you like what you're in the middle of, you founded your company's The Little Things, right? You founded,
Yes.
yeah. So we just talk about it. So even if you don't know anything about the pod, which nobody's doing because we haven't done it yet, but even the idea of talking about the little things is really it's so needed because
Yes.
just the simplest of shifts can change an entire day. And that affects everything. Just these little tiny things that people think have no value, they do. So thank you for being here and sharing that today with us. I'm excited to have the conversation and welcome to the pod.
All right, let's get started.
I know. Like, what are you in the middle of right now?
Well,
What
right now,
transformation are you in the middle of? Even though we're in the
the big
holidays. Yeah.
is always transformation. The big thing we're in process right now is really thinking how can we change how we consider homes. I think we every time we talk about homes, I think you cannot avoid looking at the mortgage, the interest rate, and it becomes, is it just a value number? Is my home $1 million? Is my home $2 million? When is it going to go up? Is the mortgage rate going down? And we'd like to change that because I think the things that I remember about home is what about making a home, building a home is the little moments, what it feels like to be in the living room, what it feels like to have, nephews and nieces running around, what it feels like to have people coming back. And I think in many cases, that's been forgotten a little bit. So the big transformation is we're thinking, can we use technology to maybe bring people back to the essence, the day that we're creating places and spaces that really are going to enrich us and in many ways are gonna sort of be the foundation of who we become and who we are on a day-to-day basis.
So, growing up, where did this passion for creating this sense of home, like when you were talking about it, my head just kind of like naturally went to when I was a kid and like our home and like, that was really just a stage. We used to, play and live and I remember as a kid we used to play apartments like in our
Right.
house, like it's just this weird thought that like had our like why in the hell would kids play apartments? But we literally did. The
Yeah,
kitchen somebody else, the
exactly.
restaurant, like it was a stage and a playground. So that's what you brought up. So like what's the draw for you and why you're creating this? Where did this come from?
Sure. We're in the technology space. I'm a technologist, but everything that I do is mainly from the my foundation experiences. And that really came from, I had a very strong, independent mother who continuously always used to, as a child, you're always looking, seeing what your neighbors have, what your friends have. And there was this, you always want the next thing, the big things. And she really sort of ingrained in me the idea that, no, why don't we just focus on doing the little things step by step? And over time, not only do you grow as a person, but also the results are more magical. You appreciate things more and more. And I found sort of, as we go, as we grow older, it became I need to pass exam, I need to get this degree, I need to work, I need to buy a house, I need to do this. Um, it became more and more I'm losing sort of that sense that basic foundation thing that I can go back to. I think it's something that a lesson that I learned from her that no matter the sort of like the endeavor that I can go back to if I focus on the basics, the little things, try to do those with care and passion. The results, the big results that I'm seeking will come through. And she was lovely. I mean, she was an amazing homemaker. I say that in the truest sense. I think the highest respect, because as homemakers, you find something and you have to make something out of it. And many times you're making little moves or things that in the moment seem inconsequential, but when somebody comes to experience it together, it's something much more special and meaningful and something that you sort of like think back to. Kind of the way you were mentioning that I remember growing up, the home was a stage for me. We're playing apartments with sort of like my cousins, and
You played
that's
apartments
what we're doing.
too?
I think that's sort of like an international thing. Everywhere
It
else, everybody
is?
does that.
Okay.
Yes, it
This
is.
is okay. I was a day years old when I figured that out. So like, isn't it weird? Like we think our experiences are so unique to us, but like, because I thought that was kind of crazy. Like as I got older, to think that we would do that. Like, why the hell would we do that? Because we literally, collected rent, the whole 9 yards, like the whole thing.
Yes.
So
Yep. That's everywhere. We did that too.
I love it. So we were playing around with spaces even when we were kids, because I like
Exactly.
intuitively I knew about because we grew up. We didn't have very much money, so like I didn't know that at the time when I was growing up. But I remember how powerful it was when we rearranged the furniture. Like
Right. Yes.
that was a thing. That was a thing when we rearranged the furniture and how it all, which became a huge passion of mine. If I didn't do what I do right now, I probably would be an interior designer of some sort, but it's more for me, it's the space about what's the space like communicating. I've always seen energy, felt things in spaces, and they became so important to me as I got older. But younger, I used to move with a garbage bag, a couple of garbage bags in the back of a truck, just throw everything, or like back of the trunk.
Yes.
So it was like I didn't give a rat's ass about any of that stuff because I never saw my floors because it's just the way it was. It was the place where
Was.
I came and showered, changed, and went back outside. I was never in, just life, career, friends, young, go. Yeah.
So
So
imagine
how
that
does that?
feeling, right?
What?
That feeling of space. Like this is when we're working, when what we're trying to do is like I'm trying to get people back to that idea that intuitively, and you have the freedom to understand what space is, how space makes you feel, and the freedom to move things around. And then, we grow older and we feel like we need to reference something else. We need to listen to what Instagram is telling us are the beautiful spaces. We need to listen to what the real estate agent says this is the thing that's going to sell the most. And you're really left with the spaces that are generic, cold. And even after you move in, you're still doing all this work to kind of like get them to feel like the space that means to you. With my co-founder, I like to say this word. It's like I want to get people to live in a space designed for them, designed for how they
Yeah.
live. And
Yeah.
everybody should be able to experience that because that is a truly magical feeling and moment when you feel like
Yes.
everything is in tune with who you are at a core level.
Mm-hmm. I like, yeah. So I've had such a long journey with this subject. It's just weird talking about it now because I realized, oh my God, I've had all of these crazy things with spaces. So I bought my very first business that I ever had was a hair salon,
Hmm.
and it was going great. I opened it up. A couple months later, everybody that came with me, they all really just came with me because they were buying time because they had behind my back they were building another salon. So
Oh,
yeah, it was one of those moments like, oh God. But I was already in the door, it was already going, but like it was just a series of calamitous events after that. And one day I had these two ladies just walk into my salon going, we're like feng shui people, and I didn't know anything about feng shui at the time or even what it meant. And they would just go, "You're something, there's something with your building, or that you make a lot of money, but it's always being sucked out, the door." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Well, every business is like that, but like to me,
yes.
it was like, "You come to save me," and so they come in and they do all these like stuff. They were told as scam artists, but like in my mind, it was what introduced me to the idea. But then when I started studying it, I'm like, oh, it's just a way to keep order. It's like the outside trying to mirror back in the inside. This is before I knew
Yes.
about our environments are really just a mirror. What the hell's going on between our eyeballs? But like, that was like what the switch was, like how it started to like, because when I did that, things did change. But I didn't know at the time that that was just me. You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's a
Completely.
mirror. We need both sides of it, depending on where we're at with the awareness of whatever's going on. Like it's all serving us, but
Hmm.
like it's something that's been a constant thing. And now it's like my Superman power. I love having my spaces a certain way and waking up and I also found like you have to maintain that energy. It doesn't just occur.
Yes,
Yeah. So
yes, yes.
where do you like meet people? Because I was also in real estate for a very long time.
Hmm.
I've seen all the insides of lot of folks' houses, and I've had to learn to
Hmm.
keep straight faces because there's sometimes you walk in, you're like, oh my god, how the hell do you breathe? There's like, I, hoarding's way more prevalent than what folks really, I think, understand what's going on, or at least
Completely.
that was my
Yes.
experience about that. So saying the quiet part out loud, we know that that's something going on up here
Mm,
that's causing that effect. Like it's a mirror, everything's a mirror, and once you see that pattern, it just brings another level of awareness when in communication with them. So how does that work with
yes.
you doing what you do, dealing with that there's a human being here too that also has to be part of the solution?
Yes. I think it comes on multiple levels. I think that the first thing, it's I always like to think I've had the opportunity and the sort of like the advantage to go study and spend time. I've been given this again the space to actually go work and think this through and try to understand it. So I have sort of the technical and the technique through it, but I see myself as in service of that person, of that human being. I had a great mentor when I was going through design school at the University of Cincinnati. His name was Craig Vogel. As a young sort of creative trying to get into space, my first was like, oh, I had an opinion. It's sort of like, this is good, this is bad. And I kept going back and forth, this is good, this is bad. And then he kind of sat me down. I was like, well, if you're really going to be real good, you have to understand that it's good from your perspective, and you have to be able to learn to listen, understand through the eyes of the other person, and then guide them to best express who they are and what that means. So it's not about minimalism, it's not about maximalism, it's not about flowery and saying one style is better than the other. It's more about channeling and allowing that human to channel who they are on the mirrored on the outside in a way that makes them feel fulfilled, so that they don't feel as if like they're placed in a box when they're trying to sort of roll around. So that's really where I start from. Thinking I have a set of skills that can be of service, and then sitting, a lot of listening, so I can be an advisor and sort of a guide in this journey, in allowing them to better express and understand sort of those points of tension that I saw something somewhere and they told me to do this, but even though I've done it, it looks great. Everybody tells me it's great, but internally I still feel like, this is not right. There's something wrong there. So it's about really many cases like, it's just who are you? How do you live your life? What's important to you?
Yeah.
And let's go from there. And if we do that, it is, it's an emotional journey. A lot of it is about an opening, unraveling, a journey of discovery. But it's beautiful once we go through it. And I think for me, I think the true beauty is seeing somebody thrive in the spaces that just connect with them in many ways, in ways that we cannot put words to it, but we just sense it.
Yeah, because you probably see them calm. You probably see them
Yes.
relax a little bit more. Because I don't think people understand how critical it is to understand how to regulate our nervous systems and not be in constant response to something or constant reaction to something. So
Yes.
when you're like that in life and don't have that, and your space is your only sanctuary, and that's out of alignment, which naturally it's going to be if you're not wired, but like
Yes.
it just acerbates everything. So if you come in with, and I can't wait to dive into like how you're doing this with technology, but like when you see their nervous systems, like when they kind of like drop a little bit, what what is that like?
It is. It's heartbreaking. I mean, in many cases, heartbreaking. It's a highly emotional. You got. I think. I think to be able to, at least the approach that we're trying that we advocate for, you got to be extremely emotive, sort of in tune with humans around you, and that itself is also something that you have to learn sort of to like take on and how to process it. Because in many cases, you at times you don't even understand that's what's going on, right? That it's sort of taking that into yourself. So you also need spaces for yourself to go sort of like recharge so you can actually do the work. But
What would
I
I be
think
thinking? Like if I was, how would I know that I would even need or know that you had this service? Like how does somebody that's in the middle of it, like who do you help? I'm trying to connect the dots of like who's sitting at home having X problem that you are diving into. Like what's the wiring?
yes, and right now, to be honest, unfortunately, it is something that most people don't even know they need. They don't realize.
Mm.
So a core focus of right now is we're based in LA. The year started off with unfortunate tragedy with many people sort of losing their homes and so like going through the rebuild process. So right
It
now,
was,
a
yeah.
big a big push for us is like working with those homeowners and trying to help them as they're rebuilding, to rebuilding in a way that's sort of sensitive to their needs. Because just some quick stats. I apologize, from a stat, I'm going to throw this out real quickly. It takes somebody, it could take people up to a year to decide to build a house, just a whole year. And from that point, it may take them another 3 to 6 months to pick the team to help them with just to pick the team. From there, it could take another 4 or 5 months to design it and build it. And from that point, it may take another year to do the actual build. With the fires and the recovery, we're talking about a 2 year period, and we're asking people to compress that in a space of 3 months. It is nerve wracking. It's sort of like a lot of tension. Like one story that we have is one of the homeowners that we helped. She went to sign the contract with a contractor and was like, oh, she done everything according to sort of like what's been best practices. And she's like, well, she was like, how do you feel? And this lady's like, well, I'm nervous. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know what I'm getting. You show me some diagrams, you show me some numbers, you're asking me this astronomical number. I know I need a home. I'm gonna pay you, but do I feel connected to this space? No. To me, it's an abstract thing. So what we do is we take those designs and we use augmented reality and virtual reality, and they put on a headset and they get to walk through that space. And they're no longer understanding lines. They're walking through the space. So this woman she was excited. She was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna start crying." She was jumping up and down. And one of the moments she's like, "Oh, I've never had a home with a laundry in it before. This is gonna be my home with my laundry." And she's in there with her hands out, spinning around, twirling like a girl. Like, "Oh, look at how much space I'll have. Oh, I can lift my leg and wash myself in the shower." All those things are things that in the typical home building process
Never
are
think of.
removed,
Yeah.
right? Because all we're thinking about is the architect, the fees, the space. At no point that joy that we feel when we move into a space is not there. So that's sort of like how we're helping.
So you work with home builders?
We work with home builders, contractors, and even directly with
Wow, I bet
homeowners,
they're
and
so
we give this
excited
as
to
a
see
service.
you, aren't they? Like once they know what you do.
Yes, they are. There's excitement. It's a long process. There's also, unfortunately, as any case is a case where we've always done this before. What do we need it? But we have some great partners out there that we're working with. It's like with everything. Once people get it, they see it. It's completely game changing for them, and
It
it
is
engages
because it's
different
something that they can't tactile
conversations.
do because
Yes,
of what the nature of what they're selling something that's not there yet. And homes are
exactly.
experiential, like because people don't buy homes. Um, you know, it's price, condition, and location. I mean, that's the only reason somebody buys. But what makes them say yes is how they feel when they walk in the damn door. Because I've watched it happen a million times.
Yes.
In fact, I got so good at it, like not I could walk in the door and we were there for 3 seconds, and I'm like, I'm not wasting my time here. You guys, this is not it, right? And they're like, yeah, no. So we just go like walk out. It's like instead of like spending hours walking around something
I
that I'm like,
was
I know instantly because it's like they
exactly.
don't say anything, but you just feel it. And then on the drives to the next one, I'm like, what was it about that? And they're like, oh, well, that reminded me of something. And I'm like, literally, you're basing your of a feeling
Yes.
that's not even real. It's just something imagined, but like that literally is a deciding factor for an enormous amount of people because of the
It is.
nature of the intimacy of the space.
Yeah. And I mean, many people, if they build, they may build once in their lifetime,
Yeah, and that's
right?
it because it's yeah, that's a
And
nightmare
that's it.
experience.
It's a journey. It's a nightmare. It's their first time. And
Yeah.
they've been thrown into this new world where there's
Yeah.
all everything. I mean, but and they're buying it for that feeling, for that idea that this is some ways gonna, like you
Fix
say, it's gonna
everything.
be
It's gonna
fix
fix.
everything. It's gonna
It's
become a
part of a dream
really
that because I've seen it. There's a particular people that buy brand new houses. It's always like
Mhm.
young couples that have the fairy tale thing, and she just got off the Princess Bride at her wedding. Like the whole like it's a thing. Now they're always in divorce
yes,
court in 3 years, but like without fail. But it's an experience of picking everything out and
yes,
like blah 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 blah. Look, we made it. Our relationship's gonna be fine because we built a house together. Yeah,
yes,
you're still in divorce court in 3 years. But like, or people that are like at the end of before they go into empty nesters, then they will come back and they know exactly what they want because of the experience of the past. Yeah,
which
this
is
is like
exactly
such a fascinating it's such a fascinating aspect because a lot of we don't think about it, but that's one of the most stressful times that
yes,
anybody can go through is when you switch houses, especially like once you're established, and it is a major, major, major event
yes,
emotionally. So yeah, it just never occurred to me like the little things, but you're dealing with a lot of little things all at the same time, aren't you? All the time.
yes. And that's what we think.
So
We think if we go back and to tapping, not tapping necessarily, acknowledging those little things, making them feel, experience, and then people just start feeling. Yes, there's a financial and the structural side that needs to be covered. But I think there's this emotion and experiential side that needs to be tapped into so that we
it's
bring together because
yeah,
it's
it's
important.
there anyway. It's there anyway. It's
Yes,
happening anyway, whether you're acknowledging or not. It's happening. Like it is literally happening with them. Just yeah, you tapped into that thing that I would always see on the side of my eye whenever I was going through those experiences. But I love them. I love I loved doing it when I was doing it. In a perfect world, it's a great career, but it's also completely littered with extra things. There's a lot of yeah. It's a weird process. Um, I'll just leave it at that. It
yes.
has a lot of entities that control everything about yeah. I
Everything.
was
That's a whole other deep dive and conversation that needs
yeah
some more little
yeah,
things to tackle that as well.
but you're just like that's not the even though you're connected to it and that's all going on and simultaneously your focus really is just the little things for the people in their spaces and it's such an incredible journey
Yes.
and completely valuable. It's also something that we just walk around and don't really talk about out loud, which is perfect for this pod. I love it. What are you like? Why did you pick Los Angeles though? Like when you were you already there? Like how did you land in? I lived in LA for about 10 years off and on. Um, I love the idea of LA, but like living there is a whole nother animal. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, I will before I moved here, I was in Cincinnati, and at the time, I sort of had an opportunity to work with a very talented landscape architect. We did a project together. His name is Sean Lally, amazing guy. Watching his process and sort of his thinking of space, because similarly, he was like, we all talk about space as walls and windows and doors, but it's like actually no, space is a lot more than that, and there's ways in which we can create climates, we can control space, lighting, sound. Just being around somebody like that, obviously, kind of like, whoa, okay, it's a whole new world. So when I was speaking to him, I was like, hey, I want to do this thing. I like to get more. He's like, well, you have technology and you have this. One of the best places you can do that is this school in Los Angeles, and that sort of brought me to Los Angeles. What made me stay in Los Angeles though is it's there's a lot of challenges in Los Angeles. For one, it's like the one place where I've had to retrain my mind in terms of what I think a city should be and how a city should operate. It's its own beast, its own sort of like combination of things.
yeah.
One of the other things about Los Angeles that was really fascinating for me, it still is that most other cities is there's a pace and a rhythm that you sort of arrive, and in many ways you have to understand and fit into, sort of like to be part of sort of like a norm of what the city. Los Angeles for me has been the one place where it actually that idea of trying to sort of like fit in a certain place doesn't really matter. You can just be your true, your complete true self, even to a detrimental perspective. Like in many cases, you may have like, oh, you need to pull yourself back, but it's been the most, for me, most freeing. And I think that for me has been also the thing that allows me to tackle something that in many cases, in a place that was more conservative, like this is how we do, we're gonna do it this way. This has given me, especially the freedom to find a voice in terms of how I want to express, find the
Hmm.
courage to say no. I'm trying to go against, maybe against, not against, but in, yeah, I guess I'll be brave. I guess in opposition to the mainstream idea of what, how things should be, what things can be. Um, and there's just so many opportunities to be influenced and inspired by people doing, just finding their own sense of self in the city. So that has been the most sort of like rewarding reason why I think I've stayed in Los Angeles. Because there's a company that's doing heavy tech, where it's interesting that we've maybe shied away from like moving to like Silicon Valley or some of the other places that are heavy tech focused, but again, would be in a monoculture. Here, we're continuously confronted with the idea that space means something to so many people in so many different capacities. And we get to
Yeah,
be
like
an experience that and work with those.
yeah, yeah, you're right. So I can see that now. What's the spark? What's the biggest lesson you learned this year?
It seems very simple. You know, it's something that you opened up with in this in this episode when you said being able to trust your vision and trust your truth and staying with it. There's so many voices, and it is extremely difficult to stay honest and stay on the path and not be one, not to compare yourself with what somebody else is doing, not to compare the
Yeah, there you
success
go.
that
There you
others
go.
uh, 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 are approaching, or hey, if you just do these things, you could be over here. And again, kind of like back to space, you do it, it just doesn't feel right. And every single time this year when I've listened and tried to maybe, oh, this is what this I should do, the results have not been exceptional. And every time I've maybe doubled down and said, this is the core, this is what we're meant to do, and this is how we're gonna approach it.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't seem what other people would recommend, I feel like the results have been the best. As an example, like one of the things that there's been a push, again from the outside, is like, oh, great idea. You guys should be on TikTok. You should do TikTok. You should do TikTok. You do social media. You should do like you push. You should
Yeah.
be out there making noise.
Yeah.
And yes, but
For
every time we
what?
try to do that, it gets excitement, but it's like,
It doesn't
yeah,
do
for what?
anything. For
It
what?
doesn't do anything.
I've got your attention for 3 seconds. Okay, great. Now what are we gonna do?
Seconds.
Nothing happens in
Exactly.
like that. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
You tap. That's the thing. That's why I just give like, yeah. I'm not chasing that rabbit. It's quality. People listen. They watch what they watch. They do. We provide value. Those people showed up. Yeah, it's happening. It happens. There's 8 billion
Yes.
of us here. We all have different interests. I'm not at all interested in having my nervous system jacked like that anymore. Yeah, I'm just not. So, yeah, all about it. So, how do you do that? So, somebody's listening. They're in the middle of, somebody's pulling them this way, somebody's pulling them this way, and they're not really listening to that. What's in the middle of all of us? What's in the center? What do you give them? What kind of advice do you give them to stay the course?
Say the course. I think for one, I say give yourself space. Just give your space. Give yourself space to stumble. I think one of the things is being sometimes being so tightly wound up, so being afraid. Give yourself space. In fact,
Yeah.
it's very important to give yourself space to fail and fall down, because if you're so worried about that step, that misstep, for one, you're just doing what everybody else is doing. So in essence, you're not doing the thing in many ways trying to do the transformative of the world. So for one, trust that. I'll also say, unfortunately, I don't have a magic bullet to say that do this one thing and everything will be okay. It's not. I think many cases it's gonna be expect that some of the friends and some of the closest advisors will be giving you advice that in many cases is gonna be in contradiction to what you believe it should be. There's always a story that when Jeff Bezos wanted to go start Amazon, he was told, "Don't do it. Too old in this career. Don't go do that." Oh, how fortunate we would all be if he did not sort of follow his passions. I think it's okay. And I think places like this, Michael, to be honest, places like this is places where hearing that there's other people sort of like encountering the same challenges and sort of like overcoming, going through them, is great. I think the one thing I will say though is as well is that it's something that you have to go through. I don't think it's something you can go around, you can avoid, unfortunately. It means that you're going to have some tough conversations. But every
Yeah.
time you do that, it will
Yeah.
make you stronger and will help you
Yes.
be more successful in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. And it could come out of nowhere. Like yesterday I had something that I thought was going to go down a certain way with an event that I have, and I found out yesterday it couldn't happen that way. It was just they weren't equipped to do it. But I'd already kind of put it out there that this was what was going to happen. But uh, but I took that and I'm like, okay, this can't. But I got presence in my commitment. My commitment was this event because I'm gonna hold presence, and like my theory is that we can regulate our nervous system together, like in a big groups, like in a
Hmm.
conscious way. Even somebody not connected to it at all, like we could just consciously create experiences to connect with each other in meaningful ways. So it's just kind of like playing around with the weirdness of that, how awkward it is to go up to somebody that you don't know and like get to know them, like hell, we didn't even know each other a month ago. You're amazing. I'm so happy that I get to have these conversations because I know when people listen to them that they get the experience that they know us too. So, um, yeah, it's getting past these like the little things that we make up that keep us separated. Most of it is all bullshit. And this is like,
Yes.
it's just so refreshing to go, let's talk about the actual thing that's happening. And we, we're all in this together. At the same time, we don't have to lose our sovereignty as we unite. Unity does not mean that we lose our individual or uniqueness. That's not possible. It just
Not
so reminds me of
not
that
at
show that's
all.
on that. I don't know if you watch Apple TV, but like there's a show called Pluribus that's delves
Oh yes,
very
I love that
inside.
show.
Oh my God,
It is
right?
fabulous. Yes.
It's that thing. It's like that's what it looks like if we are all kind of like the hive mind. But the reality is we do have a hive mind. We just pretend like we don't because we
True.
all have these awarenesses that we don't talk about. And it's in these little nuanced spaces that we all have in our lives. And we're here talking about it. So I appreciate this so much. It's been an amazing conversation, and we'll definitely put all of your information so people, if they're in Los Angeles and want to work with you, definitely can, or just reach out and have a conversation. You're amazing, amazing human.
Oh, and thank
So
you so much, Mike. I mean, when I got the sort of the reach out, I was like, oh, I wasn't too sure, but this has been a sort of like a joyous moment for me to do, and it's also, like you say, just having the opportunity to put words to these feelings and some of those things that have been like wound up inside is actually very freeing, and it's perfect. We're going towards the end of the year. It's in many ways like a recharge for me as I get started, just to face 2026.
I love it, and people will be hearing this in 2026. Yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll continue this conversation. But for right now, I want you guys to go out and have a conversation about something that's going on in your life, something, conversation that may be a little difficult. Just create an intention from your heart and go have an uncomfortable conversation today. Yeah, try that one on. Ooh. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Thank you.